Hello and welcome to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. As always, we are coming live from the W4CY studios here in West Palm Beach, and I hope all your week is going well. It has been a slow week, actually. Yesterday, I actually went to the beach for the first time. My protege, Caleb, Sandra, and I, we took Nira to Juno Beach, and it's funny that when you live here, when I first came down here, I used to go to the beach all the time, and when I moved down here and I asked people, well, why don't you go to the beach? They're like, and you think that when you don't have it, that you would go, when you do finally get it, that you would go all the time, but and then you get into your normal life habits and everything, and especially if you live pretty close or pretty far away from the beach, it's a little harder to get to. So I wanted to make sure at least we had a nice beach day, and boy was it nice. There was the first time I went to the beach since the hurricane, and all of the sand was pushed up. On Juno Beach, it had a huge cliff that just came down, and and it was hard to get up and down, and it's amazing what hurricanes can do to move things and everything. But it was nice. So Chad, how's everything going? How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. No complaints here. The station's run like a smooth engine, and no complaints.
Did you play any gigs this week?
We had a couple gigs. We played down in Lauderdale by the Sea, place called Aruba Cafe, and then we played just over in Lantana, I believe, at a place called Anchor Inn.
Oh, never heard of that place. How about this week? Anything going on?
This week, we're playing Aruba Cafe again on Thursday night, and also on Saturday, I believe we are at Deck.
Where?
I forgot the name. Deck 74, Deck 84.
That's okay. You're not advertising for them. So.
No, we got a couple gigs, so we're staying busy. A little bit here at the studio, a little bit out there strumming and singing.
Are they close to West Palm Beach or down south more?
That's Delray. I know that much. It's right there by the bridge where it goes up and down. It's right there on the waterway. So it's a nice place.
Oh, it sounds nice.
But you know what, Raina? It's still hot outside.
Yes. That's why I have my hair pulled back. I was telling Sandra that I don't do my hair in the summer because it's so hot. Even right now I'm sweating. So
because you'd walk outside and become like just,
Yes, you guys are lucky. You don't have all this hair to brush and take care of it.
Bring in 80 fans before we start playing. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's hot.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. So this week for softball, I have 2 new teams that I joined. We had a total of 4 games. I had 2 double headers, one on Friday and one on Sunday. And and for the first time, I'm playing with a group of friends that I've known for a very long time, and it was nice. I miss my old teams, and I can't wait for my old teams and us to get back together. But it's really fun. It's for playing for fun. There's no competition. Usually the teams that I'm on were a little bit competitive, but still fun. And this is so laid back. It's so different for me. And I gotta say, on Sunday, it was hard for me because everybody pats each other on the back and jokes around, which is really lovely. I love to see that. But, no one cared who won or lost. And a little bit of that competitiveness came out of me. And I was like, And when I did pretty well in hitting, but it just, you get that competitiveness sometimes and as much fun as it is for you. It just seems like that's still ingrained in you. But there are going to be no calls for today's show. I have a lot of info to go to. Even now, you can tell my mind's racing. My dyslexia is really kicking in. And I've had trouble the last couple of days. I've been mixing my sentences around so much. It's unbelievable. But if you want, you can web chat us on the W4CY website and put your questions in. And after the show, I'll get to them if you have not. Or you can write in and I'll give you my email address afterwards. But yeah, there's going to be so much information today that I really don't have time to go through it all and everything and answer all the questions. If you guys have any questions, so please write in and I will respond to it. Also, you can watch this taping. We're doing Facebook Live right now, and we're doing a taping for the YouTube channel on youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. So tonight's show, everybody, you guys are in for a real treat. Tonight is called The Age of All Souls, and this is an understanding to our life's past. For so many of us, we always question, like, why our lives are the way they are, and why the lessons that we're learning are so different from each other, and why we have the interactions with everybody. Well, over the next 3 shows, we're going to do a 3-part series, and tonight is part 1, and we are going to talk about, for the second time, I did a show on this once before, a long time ago, and so really for the W4CY listeners, this is the first time. A lot of people, I really don't share this information, so this is something that I've known for a long time that I kind of keep private, and eventually I'm going to do this, but this is copyrighted material, so I ask that, you kind of just hold on to it and kind of ponder it, because some of it can be, it's different. And I want you guys to have an open mind with everything, because, when you have an open mind, you kind of understand a little bit differences when new information comes to you. So, and life poses all these questions for us. And, for a lot of times, we're asking that question, well, why is this happening to me? Why was I born this way? And we always put these questions on, a god or goddesses or a universe, that, a God made me this way and a God is testing me or this or that. And in reality, we're going to find out that it's really us testing us. And I'm going to explain why through the next 3 shows, why this happens. So I want you guys to be ready to take the next step to your evolution, because I know if you're finding this show, there's a part of you that's hungering for more. There's you have that emptiness inside of you, that question where you want to know more. And I love you for it, because that means your soul is evolving. Some people, I will warn you, some people you will instantly reject this stuff. Some people may not even understand what I'm talking about. But I want you to keep an open mind with everything. So, are you ready to take the steps, the next step? If so, well, here we go. Because the age of all souls is broken down into brackets called domes. And these domes are the brackets of domes that allow souls to the types of energies that produce certain life types. So that means that when there's 9 domes, and I'm going to get into them later, but each dome produces a certain type of energy. And depending on that type of energy and depending on what dome you're in is going to be what particular lessons you're learning. So the domes are in a circular motion. And what I mean by that is that there's no hierarchy. We like to think of evolution or like I always hear, people say that they're older or they're an older soul compared to somebody else, and they make it seem like they're superior. There is no superiority in the age of all souls. It is a circle, and all these circles, as I get into it later, are going to interplay with each other, and you're going to realize why they do. But each dome contains a particular lesson, as I said, and each dome has a consciousness restriction to our growth. So when you first start out, when you're first born as a soul and you're incarnated and your first sets of lives are coming in, and that you have a limited consciousness to that particular dome. And as you move through it, what's going to happen is your consciousness is going to change and grow. So there are going to be things, and this is why I said some people will not understand what I'm saying and some people will, because depending on what dome you are in is what you're able to comprehend. And this sometimes frightens us, or sometimes we instantly reject it, or sometimes we just blow it off because we can't comprehend it. And that's okay, because eventually everybody will get to this place too. And I want to say, it is not a race, people. Life is not a race. It's not to be better than each other. It's not to be faster involved out of each other. It's not that way. And I'm going to tell you why, because that's more of the adult soul and the younger souls that believe that everything is a race, that there's superiority, that they're smarter than you, that they know more than you, and everything like that. But each of these domes allows the bond of energy with other souls, especially in that particular dome. So have you ever wondered why, like, some people you just get along with, you click with right away, even maybe you've had several lives with them, maybe you haven't or anything? Well, this is because those domes of energies are attracted. And also, depending on what dome you're in, also restricts the bonds of energy with other souls. So that means that if you are in two conflicting domes in particular life lessons, you guys won't get along at all. You guys won't even have interest in getting along or even knowing each other. It's just some people, have you ever met somebody and you just, it's not that they're, a mean person or you don't fight with them or anything, but you just don't click and you just have no interest in others. And then other people, you just have a huge interest and you just click with them and you want to get to know them and be friends. Well, because these are the bonds of energy to these particular forms of consciousness that are interacting with each other. So domes are created by thought or consciousness. So like we all are, all of us are a thought of consciousness. And it doesn't matter what you believe, what our dome evolution is. We all guide to these same laws, and so they're guiding laws that the soul must follow. So when we get into the domes in a little bit, especially we're going to get into the infant domes and the young souls and stuff like that. When we get into that, you're going to find out why that certain people act the way they do, and so these domes give you those guiding laws that you must follow. It helps your life plan, it helps us to live our life plans, to live our lives. It's the soul's connection to our blueprint. And so like me, like I have a particular dome that I'm in. Chad has a particular dome that they're in, that he's in. And so depending on what our domes are, we will have certain lessons to go into that. And our soul must adhere to it. And same when we're filling out our blueprints, our life blueprints, we must adhere to those lessons. So domes link us to one another, like I said, to our experiences, to manifesting our experiences, to manifesting our lessons, and when lessons come about, the dome's energies will manifest that. And so what I mean by this is what we call fate. And so when fate comes along, we have the domes, and say like I write in my blueprint that I'm supposed to get in an accident at 16 for this lesson, and all of a sudden 16, that day comes, and all of a sudden I just decide, out of nowhere, I want ice cream, and I don't even like it, but I have a craving for it, and it's just this urge to go do it. Well, that's the dome's energy kicking in so that your life blueprint can follow what those lessons are meant to happen. And so those domes and those interactions with your blueprints will bond with each other so that you'll make that conscious choice. And you wonder, like even people I use accidents a lot because we've all been in accidents, but I use, haven't you ever you've seen a car coming and you pull out in front of them anyways and you cut them off and they crash into you, and then you're thinking like, what was I thinking? That's because that was meant to happen. And all those domes, whether it's a person that you don't know or a person that you do know, we all have interactions with those people, and we all have those type of things that bond us to that. And so the domes, that's the domes creating those laws. And in this case, there is no free will. There's a fine line between a lot of times where we have free will, which is after the lessons, as I've explained in past shows. Once the lesson kicks in, the lesson kicking in is the dome, is the life blueprint coming into it. But once after that happens, then it's your free will, remember, to choose whether or not how you react to the situation, how angry you want to be, how hurt you want to be, if you learn your lesson, if you want to repeat it. All of those pieces have free will to it. But when the major lesson is coming in, depending on your dome, depending on where you're at, it is absolutely, you could call it fate, you can call it divine guidance, you can call it divine will, you can call it whatever you want, but it's nothing more than the bond between your life blueprint and the dome doing its job so that you go into that lesson. So with souls, like I said, the souls will allow these other souls to connect to each other or not connect at all. So when we're planning out our life, we often pair off with people that are similar in similar domes. And as I said a few minutes ago, it's why we just connect with somebody. Like me and my mom, we have had many lives together. We have shared many times together, but we are also in similar domes. I'm in one dome and she's in another dome, but they link together because they're so close. And so sometimes, depending on our life blueprint and depending on what domes, we will bond to those energies. We will feel comfortable to those energies. And often, have you ever met a stranger that you just felt totally comfortable with and you don't know why? And then maybe you sit down and talk to them for 5-10 minutes and all of a sudden you just feel like you know somebody. It's because you're feeling that similar energy. And so when you connect with somebody in that level, it doesn't just mean that you've had so many lives with them, that you're sharing a bondage of energy with them. So let's get into the domes right away, because there are 9 categories, and over the next 3 shows, I'm going to talk about, I think in my notes, I think I have 2 or 3 of them. And we're going to look at the infant souls first. The infant souls are, the infant and the young souls make up the first 2 categories. This is about 5% of the world's population. Then you have the young adult soul, the young adult soul, and then you have the adult soul and the elder adult soul. Those next 3 categories make up 90% of the world's population. The final 3 are old souls, the elder old souls, and the ancient souls, or as I call them, the blue souls. Those make up less than 1%, especially the old souls and the elder souls make up 4% of the population. The ancient souls make up less than 1% of the population. This is why people who are ancient souls, they're very few and far between. They have a peace between them, and they just don't seem to click with the world. And, in part 3, we're going to get into the old souls and elder souls and the ancient souls. And for a lot of you old souls that just don't feel like you click in this world or that people get you, this is why. But for you adult souls and young souls, usually young souls won't listen to a show like this. The adult souls have a little bit harder time with shows like this because they're still fighting their beliefs, and we're going to get into this. But so let's get started with the infant souls. So we have the infant souls, and infant souls are just starting out. They have this idea where they're just starting out, they're brand new, and they don't actually, they're like, when you have a baby, you have a newborn. I want you guys, while I'm telling you guys this information, I want you guys to kind of think about how life goes. I want you to think about as we were born as a newborn till the time that we age. And a lot of this will start making sense. So when we go there and we have the infant souls, as I said, the infant souls make up 5% of the population. This is a very limited consciousness. And often people have a hard time understanding like emotional depth. They don't have the conscious awareness of pain and suffering. They have very little remorse. And honestly, they just don't care. A lot of them have, you have the serial killers, you have the rapists, you have the people that, a lot of religions will say, oh, those people are evil because they just show absolutely no remorse. They steal, they cheat, they fight with people, they just don't care. Everything is just about anger and suffering. And they really believe that the world is, what's told to them is what's true. They don't even, and a lot of times even belief systems, they don't even care in. They don't even care about a lot of ideas. They're all about them in the sense of the pure ego driven, and they blindly follow things just out of emotion. These people, yes, can be very dangerous. Not every infant soul will always take the roles of killers or rapists or everything, and sometimes even through your evolution, sometimes you might bounce back into the infant soul. And so remember, I want you to remember that the domes are circular. They're not, and so when I say bounce back, when we start going through the other domes, I'm going to, it's going to make more sense. But these people really are pure ego. They will hurt you. They want what they want, and they don't know why they want it, and they have no remorse for it. They manipulate the situation. They manipulate people. They can't understand right from wrong, and these people can be very dangerous. And they have a real need for everything. Everything, like you said, every job, everything that they do, every relationship is totally about them. We'll be right back after these messages from the life of Raina.
A message from the life of Raina. We live in a world faced with many tough challenges. Our lives become chaotic and filled with disaster ever so quickly, most of the time before we even realize. Our issues beat down our mental mindset, and an imbalance of emotions become prevalent. The life of Raina is dedicated to helping people on the deepest spiritual level. Miss Raina, the creator of Transcendental Development and Growth, works on your core issues and finds the solutions which allow you to break free from the emotional bondages of life, helping you achieve the life you've always wanted to live. Isn't it time that you lived life for you? Call the Life of Raina 561-846-2190 and schedule your appointment today. That's 561-846-2190. Or email thelifeofraina@icloud.com.
Okay, we are back. You're listening to Miss Raina on Transcendental Transformations. If you just joined us, our program tonight is The Age of All Souls. Today we are talking about why life is the way it is, why we come to, have certain lives, why we are the way we are, why we believe the things that we believe, and why, no matter how much people tell us we are still either going to change or not going to change, or what all the chaos in our life. If you missed it, again, we have 9 categories or 9 domes, and the 9 domes are the infant souls, the young adult souls, the adult souls, the elder adult, the old souls, the elder old, and the ancient or the blue souls. And as I was saying right before we went to commercial break, we were talking about a little bit about the infant souls. These are 5% of the population, and as I said, these people have a very hard time having a hard time. They lie about everything. They don't understand. There are just some people that you meet in life that just don't seem to have any understanding of life or human value or anything like that. And or even if they're not mean, they have no understanding. There's some people that just drift through life, and it just seems like there's no essence to them. And that's because they don't have an understanding of the world. As you grow and as you evolve through your evolution, you become more and more understanding after each life. And someone once asked me, they're like, well, Miss Raina, do you ever forget about what's going on, from your past lives? I said, no, actually, your conscious mind forgets, but your soul never forgets. So if you had 9,000 lives, your soul remembers the lessons, the pains, the sufferings, the joys of everything, of all those things. That's why what we call deja vu, that's why we have flashbacks, that's why we have, out-of-body experiences and all these little things, past life regressions, is because when we're doing that, we're tapping into the information that's encoded into our soul. And the infant soul doesn't have anything, so it has nothing to go on. It's almost like their mind is kind of like going in, and since Samhain's right around the corner, it's almost like going in an empty spook house, having a blindfold and having no lights on and stuff, and trying to find your way around the maze. You're kind of like lost. You're kind of going around, and so there's 2 different types of infant souls, and those can be either or. They manipulate the situations because that's what they do. If you think about infants, what are infants? If you take babies, right, and when they get to that, they all they do is look at you. They don't know whether to. They don't have any conditioning yet, so they trust you. They smile at you. They laugh when you laugh. They don't know a mean person from a not mean person. But if you put them down and they're able to crawl, they start grabbing. They don't know that that's an electrical cord out there. They haven't learned that that yet. And so this is the same thing that's happening with the infant souls. These people, don't know that. And this is why often they do things like, as we deemed, once we get through those types of domes, we'll look at and we'll say, how can someone hurt someone? How can someone kill someone? How can someone do that? How can someone be so cold-hearted? Or how can someone just be oblivious to life? And this is the reason why. And believe it or not, people, I don't care how well you think, you have been there. When I say that each one of us lived the lives of being raped and being the raper, being the murderer, being the murderee, we take every life example. And so all the souls must go through all these types of chaos and all these types of joys. And some of us will have, perfectly healthy lives and just we get the marriage, we get the house, we get the job, we get everything. And sometimes we'll be the poor people and everything like that. So we all go through that. And that's the reason why I say there's no hierarchy. But when we have people that manipulate us, and because we can't understand right from wrong, then because people have a need. Remember what I said about back in the past about having a need versus a want? When we need something, it's because of our ego is kicking in and insecurity is kicking in because we can't understand maybe the way, or we feel wronged, or we feel something that's going on in our life, but we have no compassion. We don't have the understanding of the situation. And so these type of needs, control us, and these type of needs control the infant souls. The biggest lesson learned for the infant souls are boundaries of society and people. This is why a lot of them end up, in chaos. It's not because maybe they started out in that, but because their soul, because their lessons are meant to end in chaos, they don't understand boundaries. If you don't understand right from wrong, if you don't have a comprehension problem of an understanding of any situation and you're on pure ego, most people believe in right and wrong. And of course, when we get into the ancient souls and the elder souls, you're going to realize why I say there's no right and wrong. But in this stage, they don't even comprehend that belief system yet. And so boundaries of society, they'll take what they want, they'll take from people, it doesn't matter. And they don't have remorse. The emotions, they have to learn remorse. They have to learn. They're all about anger. They're all about ego, and they have to learn to control that. You take a baby, the baby has no control over their emotions, right? When it's happy, it's happy. When it's sad, it's sad. If it's scared, it's scared. There's no control over any of this. And they must learn what the ego is. They are learning what the ego is. Infants sometimes, like I said, are a lot of them are very poor. They have nothing. They deal with the most hardships of life on the extreme levels, on the most extreme levels. They make, like I said, they're very immature in the decisions, and they live careless. They live without care. They drive recklessly, like their drive is reckless, and they have no value of human life. No matter what you say to these people, you can't get through them. There's no, well, yeah, you could be right. Yeah, you could have these things. Well, maybe there is some truth to that. There's no like that. You will say something, and they cannot comprehend it. There's no, and a lot of times they don't want to comprehend it. They're going to be set in their anger and their emotions. And this is why throughout the show, I teach people, especially you older souls that have this evolution. This is why I teach you to start learning to control your emotions, to learn to break away from your belief systems. Because when you start getting older, when you start going through the domes, you still hold on to some of these in the infant souls. And we're going to get into the young soul next, but you still hold on to this. And so some of those things that we are reconditioned to each lifetime that you refuse to let go is part of maybe a soul, or a part of maybe a dome, and for a soul from the dome that you're still refusing to let go of. And the soul's job is to learn to let go and resolve the ego. If we do not learn to resolve our belief systems and egos, we will be trapped in this chaos. And it's amazing when you have someone, and an ancient soul, a blue soul that comes and tells you, belief systems, walk away from good, bad, right, wrong, positive, negative, backwards, forward. When they say resolve your anger, because we've been there, we're there, we know what it takes in order for you to get to where, what your goals are. But a lot of us are stuck in these domes. We're stuck in these patterns, and rightfully so. This is why I say to people that all want to change the world. And I get it. I was one of those people. And now I just want to teach people that want to listen. That's it. Those that want to listen to me will grow. Those that don't, that's okay. They're still going to grow in a different way too. But those that say they want to change the world don't understand that the world is the way it is because we wrote that. It is perfect the way it is. As chaotic as it is, as sad as sometimes the things like Las Vegas and all these things that go on and stuff like that, everything is written for that. And if we don't go through those domes, if we don't have those lessons, then we don't grow. And so for you to want to interfere is nothing more than you wanting to stop your own pain. You want to stop your own suffering from going on. Instead of resolving it, you believe that, if I change this, if I change the world, if I teach people, then I don't have to see the sadness. I don't have to. And that's what our mind believes. But that's not till part 2. So the young souls, let's get into the young souls next. Remember, this is the first 5% of the population. This is the first 2 domes. The young souls are similar to the infant souls. So if you take a newborn, and an infant soul would be between 0 and maybe 2 years old. Young soul would be between maybe between 2 and 9, 10 years old. And so they're similar to the infant soul. They have very limited consciousness, but they have a little bit of more awareness, because you may have 100, 200, 1,000 lives in the infant soul. That's why our evolution takes so long. You may have so many lives, and some may be quick, some may be there, in order for you to jump into the next dome. And when you're jumping into the next dome, there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of emotional chaos, because you're starting to learn to let go of one dome, and you're starting to create a new dome. You're starting to bring in new energies, so that the body, the soul, has to become adjusted to it. But the young soul is all about me. Me. Everything is about me. Everything's mine. Just like a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old, it's my truck, it's my toy, it's my job, it's my girlfriend, my boyfriend, it's me. And they hunger for material items. They are in awe of diamonds and cars and jets and anything material, and they thirst for it. I mean, their whole life revolves around material items. They have to, because they believe that makes them who they are. And they still lie about everything, because they don't know how to be their own selves yet. They haven't developed that yet. They don't know what life is about yet. They have a little bit more awareness, just like a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old. As you get older, you have a little bit more awareness of what boundaries are and what people expect from you and how to act and all that stuff by society's norms. But you still lie just like they do. If you ask them, did you steal this? Did you break this? They're going to say no. And that's what they do. But yet they want that shiny new truck that's sitting there in the toy store, and they will throw a tantrum. They will do whatever it takes to get that. Why? Because they live in emotions. They live in primal anger, jealousy, and insecurity. Have you ever met somebody that's just so insecure? It doesn't matter how beautiful he or she is or how well they seem to have everything together. They could be, the next top model. They could have, millions of dollars in the bank. They could have the nice car, and they're just so insecure about everything. And that's because they live in these type of emotions. Jealousy eats them alive. They, sometimes this can, they can unravel, and sometimes this is when the jealousy turns back into the infant souls, where they will kill, or they will hurt because they didn't get what they want, or because someone broke up with them, and they're so jealous they can't fathom their life without them, and so they murder them, and sometimes it's a murder-suicide. Again, they manipulate things, they steal. It's all for ego, all for love. They will do anything for their partners. And I know I watch ID channel, I watch all that stuff, and I watch a lot of cases, and I can always spot out the infant souls and the young souls because they get together and they thrive off each other, they murder for each other, and it's just like party, rock and roll, drinking, and all that stuff, and they go wild. And even young souls that don't go to that extreme still will always have this basis. They may not kill, they may not beat you up and stuff, but they're always trying to figure a way to manipulate you or to manipulate the situation in order to get what they want. Because remember, their primal anger, their jealousy, and their insecurity is taking over. They don't know right from wrong still, but they're starting to. They're starting to realize that in society's beliefs of right and wrong, that there are rules. And even though they may know, mom may say, hey, don't take that snack until after dinner. They take it anyways. They still know because they're still pushing. They think that they're smarter than they are, and they think that they can get away with it. A lot of times they become very needy and possessive. Remember, jealousy is that primal instinct of theirs, and they act in revenge to prove it. They want to make sure that you know who that they are, that they prove to you who they are. Now, I was on social media today, and I was posting on something on the Iowa Hawkeyes fan page, and I just posted something, and someone just attacked me like I was a complete moron, that I had no clue what I was talking about. And this is that doesn't know you, doesn't know that, but they are right, you're wrong, and they attack with such anger and violence and jealousy, and you could hear it in it. And I'm not going to respond. As an ancient soul, I'm not going to respond to that. I don't have no need for that, because I know that this person is trying to figure out who they are, because the more they say that stuff, the more it reassures, oh, well, see, this is who I am. Well, that's who I am. Well, I know who I am now because this is what it is. The lessons learned in the young souls are building life structures. This is where, just like in kindergarten and preschool and first grade, you learn, A, B, C, D. You learn 1 + 1, 2 + 2. You're learning, and then your parents teach you how to, don't hurt your sister, don't hurt your brother, be nice, start share, da-da-da. You're learning the life structures. You're learning how life is going, how the soul is learning how to live. And so they're also learning loss because they act in such insecurity. Everything is a loss to them because they place their value with all these material items. When something or someone leaves their thing, the loss is so devastating to them. They just can't fathom it. It is almost like the universe itself broke apart the earth and just crumbled it with their hands, and they look with such disbelief. They also look for their lessons are external validation. As I said, someone who's insecure, someone who's jealous, who's always following the crowd, needs to push this revenge or anything. It is always about the external validation. They must learn that the things we have don't make us who we are. And the people we have, relationships we have, don't make us who we are. A lot of us, how many of us, and you can be an older soul and still carry some of these traits. Because I know several people, like I said, most of the population, 90% of the population fall between young adult and elder adult soul. And as we get into that tomorrow or next week, you're going to find out how we do that. But how many of us, still do that? We look for that external validation. We base our happiness on if we're in a relationship. We're miserable without a relationship because we think that no one loves us, no one cares for us. And still part of our souls, because the adult soul hasn't learned to resolve the young soul's life lesson in that, we still carry that on. And it isn't until sometimes the oldest souls, when you start to cross into the old soul, is when you start to realize, wait a minute, maybe relationships don't make us who we are. I need to find my personal happiness. Yes, I want to find somebody to love. Yes, I want to find the career. Yes, I want to have my goals in life. But I need to be happy. And honestly, that is a huge step. No matter what dome you're in, that is a huge step when someone says, I need to learn, wait a minute, this jealousy isn't working out for me, I need to grow. Whenever someone says that, they are moving into, they're starting to transfer. When they say nope, when you give them an idea and they instantly say nope, they are stuck probably in the middle of the dome, and they haven't had the evolution to move. And you know what, and they won't move until they choose to move. And you know, even when they don't choose to move, still we come back, we write in our blueprints each time to move a little bit more, to move a little bit more. And it may be such a slow process, but it's funny because we still have those choices. Believe it or not, we have the choice to reject something or to open our minds to something. We have a choice to be able to move forward or stay where we are. And it's our minds. Our minds do that. Our choice does that. That's not fate doing that. But our lessons will set up in that. And so the infant and the younger souls often interact with each other. They have, like I said, they share similar ideas. They share similar energies. They may actually go to, you know, some of them will resort back to each other. Sometimes, have you ever had a lesson? Let's say, I use love a lot because I know we are always about love and we're always trying to find that person. But have you ever had, you know, a relationship or a friendship that no matter how toxic it is, or even a job, no matter how toxic it is, we just keep going back to that place, or we keep going back to that person, even if the person beats us, we keep going back. That's because we are interacting with past domes, and you must learn to step away from that. You must learn to resolve that part of the ego and step away from that type of lesson in order for you to break free. We call it a habit, but that's all it is that energy testing you in that dome. That energy is testing you to see if you're going to jump back and give in, or to do that. You know, and we can do that. I mean, the perfect example is food. You know, I mean, how many of us try to lose weight and we say, okay, I'm going to lose weight. We do it for one day, and then we give ourselves excuses of this or that, or even health, going to the gym. You know, yes, I'm going to go to the gym. We go for a week, especially on New Year's, right? Because I go to the gym all the time. And New Year's, the week after New Year's, the gym is packed. And then it dies off tremendously because we go back to our habits, because we give ourselves an excuse why we want to sit in that dome, why we're not good enough to advance. And really, that's it. And so these young souls are doing that. These infant souls are doing it. And the infant soul and the young soul can teach each other primal destruction. It does. What our anger does. When we become so angry, when we become so jealous, when we become so enraged and lost control, this is what we're capable of. This is the destruction that we're capable of. And oftentimes, that's why, like, you see, like, certain parts of the world have a little bit more grouped in younger souls and infant souls than other parts. That doesn't mean because, you know, a country is peaceful that it has no infant souls or young souls, or they're all old souls. That's not the theory there. But these people teach this, and they will always attract to each other. And, you know, they teach each other that the grief, you know, it causes the most grief. When we look back, when we're into the elder souls and the ancient souls, we actually look back and we see that, and you can plainly see how we destroy ourselves. And you know what? And we can't get through to these people. We can't. They must learn to get through to them on themselves. They must learn that these actions aren't going to do it. And no matter what I say, there are going to be people, no matter what I say, that will just instantly just write it off. And that's okay. That's not my job. And some people will keep pushing. Some people will keep pushing and pushing to try to get through. They're trying to help this person. They're trying to save this person, or whatever it is. But there are some domes that you just can't get through. And you must allow them. And I'm telling you, you must allow them to work through their own stuff. And sometimes that's their life lesson. You know, my father, he was an elder adult soul going into the old soul, but he still refused to take care of himself. And no matter how many times he asked for my help, I tried to help him. And then I knew he was going to reject it, and he rejected it. And then finally I said, you know what, Dad, I love you. I would love to help you, but I know you really don't want my help. You're saying that to me, but you don't. And he got upset with me. But I knew his life lesson was that was the way he was going to transition back over. And there was nothing I was going to say, because that was part of his lesson. You know, as an older soul, we must have the most compassion and understanding for these people. We have to do that. young adult soul, and I'm going to try to get through as much as I can here because I know we only got like 5, 6 minutes, 7 minutes left. But the young adult soul, lives on need to be right. They have to be right about everything. These are the people, they're still holding on to that young soul. You think of the young adult soul as, teenagers from maybe 11 to 20 something, and they always have to be right. Teenagers know everything. They know that their way is right, their way is better than yours, and you can't tell them anything, and they solely live on belief. From young adult all the way to adult, solely beliefs, all belief. It doesn't, and they are, a lot of times the young adults are religious fanatics. They are the extremists. It doesn't matter if it's in politics or religion, spirituality or medicine or whatever it is. They are the extremists, and they will go for that because in their control is lust. They are lustful. They have to. They're driving with emotion. They're driving, and they feel the need for justification. This way is right. This way is wrong. This is black. This is white. And they're big in punishment. Every time something goes on, you see the news, you see people like ready to hang each other, over ideas. Like, the NFL football thing, how many people are like ready to shoot each other over someone kneeling? And we're so stuck in that. And that's because this is who they are. Their mind is, this is the way it is. This is what I was taught. I'm not going to deviate from this plan because this is the right way. And they have no self-control. They're impulsive, they're judgmental, and differences scare them. If you come with a different idea, or maybe they haven't learned something and you come with truth with them, and you tell them because they weren't conditioned to that, they weren't taught that, it scares them, and they will push away from you, it'll frighten them. I've met people that I've, just being me, who I am, as far as what I do and everything, I've had people walk away and say, Miss Raina, you scare me, especially knowing that I was psychic. One time I was in a group and I was hanging out with somebody, and someone asked me a question and I read them, and the other people were standing. Some people were like, oh, wow, that was really good. How did you know all that about her? And one person had the look of terror on their face and said, and that's because they live in fear. Fear hurts them. They're prone to violent outbursts. The young adult soul has little remorse. It has a little bit more remorse than the younger soul, because the reason why is because now we're getting into those teenage years, right? Because now teenagers are starting to understand, yes, okay, stealing isn't right. We shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do that. Maybe these are the different things, but they really believe everything that they're doing in their mind is right. The young adults are tricky because they make you believe that they're older than they really are. They will put on a show just like a teenager will. They will put on a show and they will make you seem like they are older than that they understand you, that they do, and then they'll turn around a lot of times and stab you in the back or go a different way. Because they are good at putting up fronts. They don't like differences, so they will be your best friend as long as you agree with them down to the T. You have a disbelief with, or you have a difference of opinion or difference of whatever, and they're gone. They're gone. They will turn on you. They will walk away and everything. So, they do nice things for a while. They're starting to grow in that aspect, and they do nice things for a while. But usually it's because they have an intention behind it. They start to know, like for you parents out there, right? And I use the teenagers a lot, but how many teenagers, are doing things because they want things? Even us adults, how many of us do things because we want an outcome, or we do something because we think karma is going to reward us, or God's going to reward us, or mom and dad are going to buy me this. If I do this, mom and dad will give me that car, or do this. This is the young adult. Everything has an intention behind it. Everything has something, but they're starting to learn that, to live life a little bit more peaceful, to not be so enraged, to maybe control their anger from once in a while, but they're still living in that ego. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe if I go see life, maybe maybe I still have that narrow vision, but it's starting to widen up a little bit. And that's what we have to look at. The lessons learned in the young adult is self-control. Again, they have to have self-control. They have to, their reaction to consciousness, how they react to things. They have to start learning that their actions have consequences. How they react to something, and even adult souls and older adult souls, or elder adult souls, still even old souls have a hard time with learning this example of what happens and how you react to something is as you call it, the consequences that are going to come. The young adult souls are unhappy a lot. They love misery because, again, black and white, right or wrong, this is the way it has to be, and they feel an emptiness inside. The young adults share the connection between infant souls and young souls and adults because it's a 4-part series, and they bounce around between each other and back and forth. So an adult soul may go back to a life lesson of an infant soul. An infant soul may jump up to a young adult, and vice versa. And eventually, when you get through all the domes, we're going to be bouncing back and forth between them. All right, everybody, that is tonight's show. We went through the first 3 domes. We will go through the next 3 domes next week, and for the Age of All Souls Part 2. If you'd like to follow us on our Facebook, follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter to receive VIP access to hidden shows. Email me with any of your questions. I'd love to hear your opinions on anything or questions about any of the shows we have at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. Make sure you visit the W4CY.com website, and always remember to believe in yourself. It's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful week.